Every single one of us is important to God. And if you think God only came to save you, you're in the wrong religion. Because that's not true. That's not in the gospel. He came to save you and others. And I know what I just said is not popular. I'm okay with that. But what I did speak is the truth. And you see, as long as we're not having ears to hear, as long as we're not having the ears to hear the pain of people, we can never address it. Are you guilty of something? I'm not saying that. Are you a racist? I'm not saying that either. But what I am saying is part of humanity, is part of who we are, that we should care about those who feel less than. And it's not just that group. You know, we go on with our happy lives, but I'm going to just sit here and tell you there's a lot of problems in the world. There is sex trafficking that is rampant in this country. But who speaks for them? Do you? Because your silence screams. When you see social injustice, when you see anything like that and don't speak out, your silence screams. Because all those lives matter to God. All of them. All the sheep matter to the shepherd. He didn't come to just save one. The one is important. He knows your name, doesn't he? He knows every hair on your head, or if you don't have hair, he knows every hair on your chest. If you don't have hair on your chest, he knows your eyebrows or your thoughts or wherever they're at. But he knows you. You can't hide from him. You can't put on a front and then go home and say, I'm okay. Because you're not. He knows you. As a matter of fact, he knows your name. You know, the shepherd names his sheep like they're pets. There's Cranky, and there's Blackie, and there's Slowpoke, and there's, whatever. There's Crazy Eye, whatever it is. He names them, and he knows them by name, and he knows you by name. He knows Kitty. He says, oh, there's Kitty, and there's Jim, and Helen, and Charles, and Edith, and David. And, he goes on and on. He knows his sheep. He knows your name because you matter. Say it. I matter.
I matter.
But they matter. You don't believe they matter, do you? I believe they matter too. I believe all people matter. All people. They do. They do. And sometimes we're like the hired hand who's has some investment but not all investment. Trouble comes, what do we do? We run, right? Trouble comes, we run. We're not all in. But the reality of it is when trouble comes, we should be the ones that stand up. And stand our ground. The reality of it is that we should never be like a hired hand. We should be like Jesus, who stood up for us, who loved us this much, right? He put himself on a cross for each of us. That's what we should be. But yet, do we? I dare say most of us, if not all of us, including myself, are guilty in some way or another. Which takes us to a place where we need to do some soul searching. Where we need to look at ourselves to see how we can change. Or what we can do. Maybe you don't need to change, but maybe what I need to change is my silence. And maybe I need to speak up and say, that's not right. That's not right.
Preacher, it's not right. But in today's sermon, it says also that the sheep know the shepherd.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see violence and looting and things like that, I find it difficult to believe that the sheep know the shepherd.
Okay, let's take that. Let's take that. That's a good point. That's a good point.
You need to put your mic back.
It's not working.
Check your side.
Check the connection, because it kind of wobbled out.
Let's see. Got too excited maybe. Let's see. Can you hear me? It's not.
I mean, I can hear you, but
I know some people are struggling. I'll tell you what, I got it. I got to take care of it. For now, anyway. Excuse me while I get undressed.
Dad, just come down to this one.
I am,
Oh.
but I got to get this one off me. I am. Good thing I ironed my shirt, right? All right, so let's take that comment you just had. It was a great comment, great thing. Now let's put this into perspective a little bit, at least from my perspective. I agree, they probably don't know the shepherd. Okay, I'm not ever condoning violence. I don't care how badly you've been done. That doesn't speak love, and I'm talking about speaking love into people's lives. I'm not talking about going and tearing down monuments. I'm not talking about going and tearing down people's businesses that they've worked for all their lives. I'm not talking about burning stuff, burning police cars. I'm not talking about attacking people. I'm not saying any of that represents good. Okay? So I want to make sure you're clear on that. That is not good. That is bad. Okay? So don't take what I'm saying for that. But what I'm saying is, if you look this week, last week, there have been protesters and there have been riots. And for the most part, they're not the same group. The people who are protesting injustice. The people who are looting are just thieves. They're just stealing. They're just burning stuff down. Not good. Not good at all. And you say, well, they don't know the shepherd. I don't know their heart. But I'd be willing to bet you're probably right. Okay? But I don't like to ever say because I don't know. I don't know your hearts. But what I'm saying is, their actions would not indicate. Can we go there? How about that? Their actions would not indicate that they know the shepherd. Is that fair? Right? When we perform evil. Okay. And 100% agreement on my part with you. Okay? On that. They may not know it. But let me ask you this. And I want you to just think about it for a second. Think about your worst moment in your life. The worst moment when you were as far away from God as you could possibly be. Whatever that is, don't tell anybody, don't raise your hand, I'm not taking answers. I just want you to think about it to yourself. When was the point in my life when I was farthest away from Christ and the things I was doing was nowhere near being a Christian? As a matter of fact, you couldn't see Christ from where I was standing. I was just that far away. Okay? And most of us can go to a point in our life where we were there. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Or have you always been perfect pews empty? So there is at least a little bit of a moment when you didn't, if somebody asked you about it, you wouldn't want to talk about it, right? Is that fair to say? Nobody wants to stand up and give a testimony right now. Is that fair? Okay. So we've all been in places where we're far away from God. Right? Agreed? Just give me a bob.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay? So if we've all been in places where we're far away from God, because what does Romans tells us? All are sinners. We are. Okay? And God doesn't number what? He doesn't number sin. It's not 1, 2, 3. Adultery is worse than murder. Murder is worse. They're all sin. They all miss the mark. They're all bad. Right? So that group of people is doing bad things. You've done bad things. Right? And God said, you're all worthy. Okay? You're all worthy. Now, here's the difference. Somewhere, somebody spoke truth into your life. Right? Somewhere, God sent somebody to you to speak some word that resonated with you to where you were drawn to a life as being a Christian.
Mom and Dad.
Mom and Dad. There you go. For some, it's Mom and Dad. For some, it's a Bible study. For some, it's a friend across the street that you've never been to church, but now you're going to church. Somewhere, somebody reached out and pulled you in and said, I got something for you. I got something for you. I got something that's going to change your life, and it surely will. The difference between you and them is only that somebody reached out to you and you accepted the love of Jesus Christ. Where does it stay? If it stays in you, then it is wrong. Not that it's in you, but that you're not reflecting it out to the world because somebody reflected it out to you, and if you hadn't been there to receive it and to hear it, where would your life be today? Is that fair? Is that a fair answer? I mean, that's what it means to me. Because I look in here, not in here, but I look at our world, and I often see us judging people. And I've said it before, you don't know them, that's not your job, right? Your job's not to judge people. Your job's to love people. It's hard to love somebody who's tearing something down. I can't even say, and I get angry. And I have to really reconcile that. But I get angry when I see people burning things down and tearing up other people's lives, things that people have worked for all their lives. Or taking even a store such as Target, which has insurance, because they have insurance. Yeah, they do. But you know, they're employing people in that community. Think about how many people have lost their jobs. Overall, will Target be hurt? The corporation? No. Will they reopen that store in that community so people can shop without having to go all the way across town? No. Would you? So who have you really hurt? You've hurt yourself.
You've hurt your neighbors.
And you hurt your neighbors. Right? And for what? For what? A TV? A pair of shoes? Really? So don't misunderstand what I'm saying and saying that part is right. Or those are angels. I see us all as sinners. You know, I see us all as needing improvement. But I don't see the way forward with building walls. Does that make sense? If I put up and I say, you know, every person that holds up a black sign, Black Lives Matter, doesn't like white people. That's a wall. And if all I can do is answer back, all lives matter. Well, they do. You're 100% right. All lives do matter. And I would never, but let's get beyond science. Let's get into reality. Let's get into reality and see that, you know, as in any segment of any population, is going to have good apples, is going to have bad apples. There are good ministers, and there are poor ministers. And probably today you're saying that you're one of the poor ministers. but I can live with that. I can. But what I'm saying is I know ministers who are not good apples. I can tell you that. In all honesty, I do. And in every segment of, you know, you have accountants that are good accountants and bad accountants. And you hope the bad accountant's not doing your taxes. Because then Uncle Sam's going to come talk to you, right? So, I mean, can we agree that in every segment of population, there's good people and bad people? Is that fair to say? Right? Everybody is. So then we shouldn't expect, we should not expect there to be no bad apples in police departments. Is that a fair statement? Yes. Do the majority of policemen go out there and risk their lives and do the right thing and help people and rescue people and create an atmosphere of peace and calm and something that we can function in? Yes. No doubt about it. They do. And I'm very thankful they're there. For me personally. Are there some bad ones in there? Yes. Unfortunately, there are. Are all the firemen good? Nope. Are all the doctors good? Nope. Yeah, that really got a reaction. Now we know. We're going to have to talk about doctors next week. But then why should we not expect there to be some bad apples and bad apples per se in police department? I know a lot of police officers, and I respect them 100%. I think they do a fantastic job. But I'm not closing my mind to the fact that there might, not them, but might be another person in the department who's doesn't do the right thing all the time or even part of the time. And I think that's fair. I think that's fair. And y'all got me way off my sermon. but it was a good question. I mean, I'm always welcome to questions. I'm always welcome if something doesn't sit right with you, we'll talk about it. I'm good with that. I'm good with that 100%. We can have this conversation anytime you want. But what I do want to, the fact that we all matter was just the first point of the sermon. So if I go into the rest of it, we're going to be having dinner. So what I want to, I'm going to round this off here, and I'm going to say, you know, that in our lives that we all matter, and I really want you to take that with me. Okay, all the shepherd sheep matter. Okay, you're important. You're important, whether you agree with me or not. I love you, just the same. You don't have to agree with me. As a matter of fact, if I ask 20 questions, I dare say none of us are going to be on the same answer more than 50% of the time. There's going to be something we disagree on. It's just life. We're all different. We're raised by different parents, different situations, and life happens, and we have different life experiences, and so it forms and shapes our mental image of the world. And what I'm saying is that it's okay to disagree. What's not okay is to hate. Okay? We can disagree with people and love them. And I know sometimes that's hard to do. But what I hope you'll take away from today is that I matter, but they matter. I matter, but you matter. I matter, but we all matter. Right? Can we agree on that?
Yeah.
Is that something we can take home with us today? So when we watch the news, and watch the news with a grain of salt, folks. I mean, yeah, it's almost better not to watch. Because depending on the station, they will twist it to meet the narrative of their viewers. Trust me, they will. I promise you. And that's the reason you watch that station you watch, whatever it is, because that's your point of view, right? And if you turn to another station, they present it totally differently, and you'll get mad and you'll get angry because that's somebody else's point of view, right? Let's be honest. You know, I flip channels all the time, and I'm like, la, 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 all of it. So it's hard to trust anybody today. But I tell you who you can trust? God. Put your faith in God, and it'll be all right. Be leery of man. And be leery of people whose livelihoods depend on getting sponsors to speak to a certain group of people. Because that's what it's all about. 24-hour news, worst thing that ever happened to this country.
Yeah. Amen.
Because you run out of things to say in 5. I don't, but they do. I can talk forever. But anyway, but no, I'm shutting it down. I'm shutting it down right now because I think anything else would just be too much. And I want you to walk away with it. This simple thing: I matter, you matter, they matter, we all matter, and God loves us all the same. And that we're all sinners. And let's look at it through the eyes of that. We too have our own vices and need to work on ourselves. Can we do that? Can we agree on that today?
Yes.
Amen. Join me in saying amen, or Bob, whatever one you want. All right. Our invitation today is going to come.